Good morning. We are reading The Last Vampire by Christopher Pike. I just discovered him last week. Well, earlier this week. I love his writing. We have a 5,000-year-old vampire who's at the detective office. He is asking her questions, and she does not like the questions. So let's see what happens. No, he glances at a folder on his desk, flips it open. He clears his throat. And again, I hear his tiredness as well as his fear. But is he afraid of me? I am not sure. Besides the gun under his coat, he has another beneath some papers at the other side of his desk. I smell the gunpowder in the bullets, the cold steel, a lot of firepower to meet a teenage girl. I hear a faint scratch of moving metal and plastic. He is taping the conversation. Taping. First off, I should tell you who I am, he says. As I said on the phone, I am a private detective. My business is my own. I work entirely freelance. People come to me to find loved ones, to research risky investments, to provide protection when necessary, and to hard-to-find background information on certain individuals. I smile. And to spy. He blinks. I do not spy. Miss Pern, really? My smile broadens. I lean forward, the tops of my breasts visible at the open neck of my black silk blouse. It is late, Mr. Riley. Tell me what you want. He shakes his head. You have a lot of confidence for a kid. And you have a lot of nerve for a down-on-his-luck private dick. He doesn't like that. He taps the open folder on his desk. I have been researching you for the last few months, Miss Pern, and ever since you moved to Mayfair. You have an intriguing past as well as many investments, but I'm sure you know that. Really? Before I begin, may I ask how old you are? You may ask, how old are you? It's none of your business. He smiles. He thinks he has scored a point. He does not realize that I am already considering how he should die, although I still hope to avoid such an extreme measure. Never ask a vampire her age. We don't like that question. It's very impolite. Mr. Riley clears his throat again, and I think that maybe I will strangle him. Prior to moving to Mayfair, he says, you lived in Los Angeles, in Beverly Hills, in fact, at 256 Grove Street. Your home was 4,000 square feet mansion with 2 swimming pools, a tennis court, a sauna, and a small observatory. The property is valued at $6.5 million. To this day, you are listed as the sole owner, Miss Pern. It's not a crime to be rich. You are not just rich, you are very rich. My research indicates that you own 5 separate estates scattered across the country. Further research tells me that you probably own as much, if not more, property in Europe and the Far East. Your stock and bond assets are vast, in the hundreds of millions. But what none of my research has uncovered is how you came across this incredible wealth. There is no record of a family anywhere, and believe me, Miss Pern, I have looked far and wide. I believe you. Tell me, whom did you contact to gather this information? He enjoys that he has my interest, my sources, of course, confidential. Of course, I stare at him. My stare is very powerful sometimes. If I am not careful, and I stare too long at a flower, it shrivels and dies. Mr. Riley loses his smile and shifts uneasily. Why are you researching me? You admit that my facts are accurate, he asks. Do you need my assurances? I pause, my eyes still on him. A sweat glistens on his forehead. Why the research? He blinks and turns away with effort. He dabs at the perspiration on his head. Because you fascinate me, he says. I think to myself, there is one of the wealthiest women in the world, and no one knows who she is. Plus, she can't be more than 25 years old, and she has no family. It makes me wonder. Why do you wonder, Mr. Riley? He ventures a swift glance at me. He really does not like to look at me, even though I am very beautiful. Why you go to such extremes to remain invisible, he says. It also makes you wonder if I would pay to stay invisible, I say. He acts surprised. I didn't say that. How much do you want? Uh-oh, this is about to go south. My question stuns him, yet pleases him. He does not have to be the first to dirty his hands. What he does not realize is that blood stains deeper than dirt, and that stains last much longer. Yes, I think again, he may not have that long to live. How much are you offering, he ventures. I shrug. It depends. On what? On whether you tell me who pointed you in my direction. He is indignant. I assure you that I need no one to point me in your direction. I discover your interesting qualities all by myself. He is lying, of that I am positive. I can also tell when a person lies almost always. Only remarkable people can fool me, and then they have to be lucky. But I do not like to be fooled. So one has to wonder at even their luck. Then my offer is nothing, I say. He straightens. He believes he's ready to pounce. Then my counteroffer, Miss Pern, is to make what I have discovered public knowledge. He pauses. What do you think of that? It will never happen. He smiles. You don't think so? I smile. You would die before that happened. He laughs. You would take a contract out on my life? Something to that effect. He stops laughing. How deadly serious now that we are talking about death. Yet I keep my smiles since death amuses me. He points a finger at me. You can be sure that if anything happened to me, the police would be at your door the same day, he says. You have arranged to send my records to someone else, I say, just in case something should happen to you. Something to that effect. He is trying to be witty. He is also lying. I slide back into my chair. He thinks I am relaxing, but I position myself so that my legs are straight out. If I am to strike, I have decided it will be with my right foot. Mr. Riley, I say, we should not argue. You want something from me, and I want something from you. I am prepared to pay you $1 million to be deposited in whatever account you wish, in whatever part of the world you desire, if you will tell me who made you aware of me. He looks me straight in the eye and tries to, and surely he feels the heat building up inside me because he flinches before he speaks. His voice comes out uneven and confused. He does not understand why I am suddenly so intimidating. No one is interested in you except me, he says. I sigh. You are armed, Mr. Riley. I am. I harden my voice. You have a gun under your coat. You have a gun on your desk under those papers. You are taping this conversation. Now, one might think these are all standard blackmail precautions, but I don't think so. I am a young woman. I don't look dangerous, but someone has told you that I am more dangerous than I look, and that I am to be treated with extreme caution. And you know that someone is right. I pause. Who is that someone, Mr. Riley? He shakes his head. He is looking at me in a new light, and he doesn't like what he sees. My eyes continue to bore into him. A splinter of fear has entered his mind. How do you know all those things? He asks. You admit my facts are accurate. I mimic him. He shakes his head again. Now I allow my voice to change, to deepen, to resonate with the fullness of my incredibly long life. The effect on him is so pronounced he shakes visibly, as if he is suddenly aware that he is sitting next to a monster. But I am not just any monster. I am a vampire. In many ways, for his sake, and that may be the worst monster of all. Someone has hired you to research me, I say. I know that for a fact. Please don't deny it, or you will make me angry. I really am uncontrollable when I am angry. I do things I later regret, and I would regret killing you, Mr. Riley, but not for long. I pause. Not for the last time. Tell me who sent you after me, and I will give you $1 million and let you walk out of here alive. Ooh. I love his writing. I love the present tense. I love this first person. I love this. He stares at me incredulously. His eyes see one thing and his ears hear another. I know. He sees a pretty blonde girl with startling blue eyes, and he hears the velvet voice of a succubus from hell. It is too much for him. He begins to stammer. Miss Pern, he begins, you misunderstand me. I mean you no harm. I just want to complete a simple business deal with you. No one has to get hurt. I take a long, slow breath. I need air, but I can hold my breath for over an hour if I must. Yet now I let out a breath before speaking again, and the room cools even more, and Mr. Riley shivers. Answer my question, I say simply. He coughs. There is no one else. You'd better reach for your gun. Pardon? You are going to die now. I assume you prefer to die fighting, Miss Pern. I am 5,000 years old. He blinks. What? I give him my full, uncloaked gaze, which I have used in the past alone to kill. I am a vampire, I say softly, and you have pissed me off. He believes me. Suddenly, he believes every horror story he has been told since he was a little boy, that they were all true. The dead things hungering for the warm, living flesh, the bony hand coming out of the closet in the back of night, the monsters from another page of reality, the unturned page. Who could look so human, so cute? He reaches for his gun. Too slowly. Much too. I shove myself out of my chair, and with such force that I am momentarily airborne. My senses switch into a hyper-accelerated mode. Over the last few thousand years, whenever I am threatened. I have developed the ability to view events in extreme slow motion, but this does not mean that I slow down. Quite the opposite. Mr. Riley sees nothing but a blur flying toward him. He does not see that as I'm moving, I have cocked my leg to deliver a devastating blow. My right foot lashes out. My heel catches him in the center of his breastbone. I hear the bones crack as he topples backward onto the floor, his weapon still holstered inside his coat. Although I move toward him in a horizontal position, I land smoothly on my feet. He sprawls on the floor at my feet beside his overturned chair, gasping for breath, blood pouring out of his mouth. I have crushed the walls of his heart as well as the bones of his chest, and he's going to die. But not just yet. I kneel beside him and gently put my hand on his head. Love often flows through me for my victim. Mike, I say gently, you would not listen to me. He is having trouble breathing. He drowns in his own blood. I hear his gurgling deep in his lungs. And I'm tempted to put my lips to his neck and suck it away for him. Such a temptation to sate my thirst. Yet I leave him alone. Who? He gasps at me. I continue to stroke his head. I told you the truth. I am a vampire. You never stood a chance against me. It's not fair, but it is the way it is. I lean close to his mouth, whisper in his ear. Now tell me the truth, and I will stop your pain. Who sent you after me? He stares at me with wide eyes. Slim, he whispers. Who is Slim? A man. Yes, very good, Mike. How do you contact him? No. Yes, I caress his cheek. Where is this Slim? He begins to cry. The tears, the blood, they make a pitiful combination. His whole body trembles. I don't want to die, he moans. My boy. Tell me about Slim, and I will take care of your boy, I say. My nature is kind, deep inside. I could have said, if you don't tell me about Slim, I will find your boy and slowly peel off his skin. But Riley is in too much pain to hear him, and I immediately regret striking so swiftly, not slowly torturing the truth out of him. I did tell him that I was impulsive when I'm angry, and it is true. Help me, he pleads, choking. I'm sorry. I can only kill, I cannot heal, and you are too badly hurt. I sit back on my heels and glance around the office. I see on the desktop a picture of Mr. Riley posed beside a handsome boy of approximately 18. Removing my right hand from Mr. Riley, I reach for the picture and show it to him. Is this your son? I ask innocently. Ooh. Terror consumes his features. No, he cries. I lean close once more. I am not going to hurt him. I only want this Slim. Where is he? A spasm of pain grips Riley, a convulsion. His legs shake off the floor, like two wooden sticks moved by a poltergeist. I grab him, trying to settle him down, but I am too late. His grimacing teeth tear into his lower lip, and more blood messes his face. He draws in a breath that is more shovel of mud on his coffee. He makes a series of sick, wet sounds. Then his eyes roll back in his head, and he goes limp in my arms. Studying the picture of the boy, I reach over and close Mr. Michael Riley's eyes. The boy has a nice smile, I note. must have taken after his mother. Now, my situation is more complicated than when I arrived at the detective's office. I know someone is after me, and I have destroyed my main lead to him or her. Quickly, I go through Riley's desk and fail to find anything that promises to be a lead other than Riley's home address. The reason is sitting behind the desk as I search. Riley has a computer, and there is little doubt in my mind that he stored his most important records on the machine. My suspicion is further confirmed, which I switch on the computer, and it immediately asks for an access code. Even though I know a great deal about computers, more than most experts in the field, I doubt I can get into his databanks without outside help. I pick up the picture of father and son. Again, they are posed beside a computer. Riley Jr., I suspect, must know the access code. I decide I have to talk with him. Ooh. After I dispose of his father's body, my exercise and cleanup is simplified by the fact that Riley has no carpet on his office floor. A brief search of the office building leads me to a closet filled with janitorial supplies. Mop and pail, bucket in hand, I return to Mr. Riley's office and do the job his secretary probably resented doing. I have with me, from the closet, 2 big green plastic bags, and I slip Riley into them. Before I leave, with my sagging burden, I wipe away every fingerprint I have created. There isn't a spot I haven't touched that I don't remember. The late hour is such a friend. It has been for so many years. There is not a soul around as I carry Riley downstairs and dump him into my trunk. It is good, for I am not in the mood to kill again, and murder for me is a much tied to my mood, like making love, even when it is necessary. Mayfair is a town on the Oregon coast. For those of you who don't know, Oregon is right above California. Chilly this late in autumn, enclosed by pine trees on one side and salt water on the other. Driving away from Riley's office, I feel no desire to go to the beach, to wade out beyond the surf to sink the detective in deep water. I head for the hills instead. The burial is a first for me in this area. I have killed no one since moving to Mayfair a few months earlier. I park at the end of the narrow dirt road and carry Riley over my shoulder deep into the woods. My ears are alert. But if there are mortals in the vicinity, they are all asleep. I carry no shovel with me. I do not need one. My fingers can impale even the hardest soil more surely than the sharpest knife can poke through a man's flesh. 2 miles into the woods, I drop Riley onto the ground and go down on my hands and knees and begin to dig. Naturally, my clothes get a bit dirty, but I have a washing machine and detergent at home. I do not worry. Not about the body ever being found, but other things. I am concerned. Who is Slim? How did he find me? How did he know to warn Riley to treat me with caution? I lay Riley to rest 6 feet under and cover him over in a matter of minutes without even a whisper of a prayer. Who would I pray to anyway? Krishna? I could not very well tell him that I was sorry, although I did tell him that once, after holding the jewel of his life in my bloodthirsty hands while he casually brought to ruin our wild party. No, I think Krishna would not listen to my prayer, even if it was for the soul of one of my victims. Krishna would just laugh and return to his flute, to the song of life, as he called it. But where was the music for those his followers said were already worse than dead? Where was the joy? No, I would not pray to God for Riley, not even for Riley's son. In my home, in my new mansion by the sea, late at night, I stare at the boy's photo and wonder why he is so familiar to me. His brown eyes are enchanting, so wide and innocent, yet as alert as those of a baby owl seen in the light of the full moon. I wonder if in the days to come I will be bearing him beside his father. The thought saddens me. I don't know why. Okay. Well, I have to stop. I have to go to work, sadly. And on Monday, we will continue our journey on The Last Vampire by Christopher Pike. And just a note, I am the YA horror author of Vampire Juice. It is a mystery adventure to teen romance and, of course, vampires. And people have said that reminds them of Goosebumps and Fear Street. If that's something that interests you, then you may check my link in the bio. Thanks for watching, and see you Monday.